Had the guys over at Global send over some headlight tint PPF and to show, well, basically to show me the latest version that they've got. I wasn't going to do this, I was going to do it in gloss because I really like the depth on this, to be honest with you, and I'm not convinced I want to do dark lights, but I think as a demo we need to show it on one of the cars we've got now. This is the normal tint that we use, which as you can see is quite dark. Looks really good, and because it's PPF it's clear and it isn't actually that dark on the headlight. However, can you see the difference in these two? And obviously it's quite dramatic. Now when this is on the car it's even lighter, so bear that in mind. But we're going to be putting this new tint onto both of these headlights because apparently this is super light, which means it still looks tinted, but you get that mega gloss effect. And we're about to test it out now, so you guys can actually book in and have your car done with that if that's something you want to get done. Now, I'm going to be honest, I just said I weren't wanting to do this on my car. I actually think I wanted just gloss. And I'll be honest, that's the best decision I think I've made in a long time. This looks incredibly smooth. It looks seriously clean. I did cock up the cut, as you probably saw in the video. I'm running on a bit of thin air at the minute. I'm absolutely knackered with the amount of hours that we've had in, and I'll be honest, when it's my own car, I just rush it a little bit. And I'll be fair, I did cut the film a little bit wrong, so that one took a bit longer than it should have done to fully get on. But this film looks amazing, and it's definitely something I recommend. So here's a close-up of what the actual film looks like, because what you've got here is properly gloss and stealth, but with a little bit of a tint in it, and it's really not overpowering at all. In fact, it seriously suits this car. So truthfully, we really are out of time when it comes to working on this car, because I've actually been doing this out of hours because I have another M2 in, and that's priority. But like everything we have, I've got to do a little bit of work on my car because it bugs me. My ADHD will not allow me to kind of drive a car that's not clean. But Wen's here now, and what we're going to be doing, we've just nipped to Auto House Carbon, which are in Barnsley and local to us. We've basically gone and got some yellow DRLs. Now, truthfully, I didn't like these when I had my G80, and there's a video online actually where I was saying why I don't like them and why I wouldn't do them, because everybody was doing them. However, on the M2, I actually don't mind them. I think they look okay, and we're not going completely balls out with this car. Therefore, I think we can do a little bit something like the lights and just little tweaks and mods. So we're just about to fit them now, and I'm going to see if I actually do like them, because if I don't, then truthfully they will be coming off. But apparently this is a pretty straightforward mod. It's just getting to this chuffing bracket here, so this one's a bit tricky to get out from, probably because I've got fat fingers, if I'm totally honest. But we're going to literally fit these, see exactly what they look like, and go from there. So we've just fitted the new DRLs, and basically all it is, it's those little dots there that actually change on the car. So they're yellow instead of being white. That's realistically all it is. So if you're going to be tight, you could put a bit of dye on them maybe and try that. The only thing I want to say is if you're doing this yourself, make sure you've got plenty of time to do it, because the heatsink kind of ceramic that you're putting back on, which is what's holding these in, takes hours and hours to dry. This has been on for like 2 hours and it still isn't dry. So if you are going to do it, that's the only thing I'd say, is give yourself a little bit of time where you don't need to take the car or you need to go out in it, and leave these probably half a day or all day just to set before you put them back in. So what would have made really good video is what we just didn't film. I purposely turned the camera off because I lost my shit. That side just didn't sit on the heatsink properly, and as I was taking it off to re-sit it, we dropped it. I dropped it. And when I dropped it, we couldn't find it. Now we've had the whole arch guard out, the wheel off, we've literally stripped the whole damn car and found it resting on a bracket. Now that'd have been good footage for video. I should have left that in for YouTube, because that'd have been hilarious, because you saw me kicking and screaming. But anyway, we're about to turn the lights on now for the first time and actually just make sure they work, hopefully they work, and hopefully there's no more problems, and actually see what they look like, because these have obviously now been tinted, and this has got the darker tint film on it that you can see compared to the M2 at the side of me. Actually, I like it. Yeah, I didn't think I wanted to like it. All right, I actually like that. I generally didn't want to do it, and I didn't want to tint the lights. So we've done two things today that I didn't want to do, and if I'm totally honest, it looks the bollocks. It looks absolutely amazing. I'm really chuffed with it, and I think that's a really, really nice touch to these to this front end. So in the last couple of days of owning the M2, we have done quite a lot of work to it. Now, truthfully, it's kind of bugging me because I want to detail this car. It's fucking bad. It's really bad. Like the brush marks, because it's only ever been to brush car washers, are shocking. But what we have done for now, because we're time limited on this, because work is so busy at the moment, I've basically carbon wrapped the roof, but I've used PPF. We've done the mirrors at the same time, because what I realised is the M2 behind me has got carbon mirrors and they look way better. So we've done the mirrors at the same time. Now I have PPF the front wing and I have PPF the bonnet. There is a couple of stone chips and the bonnet isn't perfect, but I just wanted to make sure they're protected the most we can. And the front bumper we can't do anything about at the minute because it needs a repaint. And I've also realised there's a bit of a crack on the back of the bumper, so that needs repaint as well. And it may be that we do that later on in the year, because I actually plan on taking this to the Nürburgring and actually going around the track for the first time ever, because every time I've been, I've took a car that I just don't want to take round. When you see the crap that's generally on track and the mismatching tyres and the crap brakes, it does put me off a little bit, basically thinking that one of those guys is going to go into the side of you or cause an accident. I am concerned with this car. It wasn't the cheapest car in the world, but it was a bargain. But I'm actually thinking I'm going to take this on track and enjoy it. Now, we've got a set of our custom wheels coming for this. So if you haven't seen that, you're going to see a lot of video posts shortly coming up for the new wheel company that we've just created. And that's because we've got them on the Porsche. We've got another 6 sets coming, and now 7, because there's actually a set coming for this. I've also got brand new tyres, because these are cracked. Let's just say that. They look a little bit dated. The wheels are pretty good. This one's got a curb mark. The rest are actually fine, but we're going to be selling those wheels. I've just done a full service on it. I've changed the panel filter on it because for some reason this is a stage 2 car, but what I realised is it had a standard air filter. Look back at the history and it's recently had a service somewhere else, and they've just changed the filter even though it was a panel filter, proper race panel filter. So we've now got a Ram Air, Piper Cross panel filter in there. Now, the one thing I am going to be doing today to just do something on it is get rid of these badges because they look crap. I've never ever liked standard BMW badges. I just hate the colour. I don't know why, and I don't like it when people do these in black either. It's very Nazi to me. But what we have got is the anniversary badges, which look a million times better. So we're going to be fitting those to this car now. Now, the other thing that's going to be getting done on this car today, I've got a new strut for it because one of the gas struts is missing, which meant the bonnet fell and hit me on the head the other day, which wasn't nice. I also don't like the tips. The standard tips are shocking. So we've ordered the M Performance tips that most of you tend to get, because these, from memory, just knock off with a hammer and then you slide the new ones on and just basically tighten the nut up. So we've got those to come. I've got a new gear shifter surround and a new gear gator surround, and just a couple of little finishing touches just to make this more presentable. So when I actually use it this weekend, have I got water in my light? No, it's on top of the light. But if I take this out this weekend, I'm at least going to enjoy it a bit more, not look back at it and freak out too much unless the sun hits it with the paint. So anyway, let's get on with really simple mods that can make a massive difference on your car. Now, there is 2 ways of getting these centre caps out. And I suppose the proper way of taking it out is taking the wheel off and just popping it from behind. I can't be bothered to do that, and I don't want these. They're absolutely knackered. Now, all I've just done, because I have had this before where it's caught me out, I've just double checked they are the right size, because I've done it before where I've actually took them out and they've been a couple of mil smaller, and that's either me ordering the wrong ones or just getting the wrong ones sent. But all we're going to do now is I'm just basically going to smash into there, if it'll let me. Right, I'm going to need a screwdriver. That is not going to work. So I'm going to try again. I've got a pick instead. I'm going to just try and puncture that in. My God, these are solid. No, that works. That was a pain in the bum and it's bent me pick, but never mind. And then literally just tap in and go. And we're just going to do the same with all 4 of those. And I think they were about 20 quid for the set, which included the bonnet, the boot, 4 wheels, and the steering wheel.
Look, you know it's ours.
Say it loud, no doubt. Say it loud, no doubt. I'm the main, can't dim my flame, flame. Whole place, change when I walk in the frame. Eyes on me.
Now, I generally can't help myself with this car. I've always wanted an M2. They're just really good cars, but the problem is it needs a lot of work. And I just keep finding things that I want to do to it. Now, what I'm going to do, this bumper needs painting, like we've said, and I just want to try and tidy it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is just fit a piece of carbon wrap, not PPF this time, just to the front of the car. And this, you can actually buy like a carbon extension for these cars, which goes here. And I think it looks quite good on black. I'm not sure if I'd do it on another colour, being totally honest. But what I'm going to do is just fit this to this piece here. And just see how it looks. And because this wrap is actually quite thick, it's got like a metal backing to it. I've got a feeling it might hide a few of the stone chips and just give it slightly better finish than what it currently is, and kind of help me disguise the fact that it is that badly stone chipped on the front, because like I said, I'm not going to be able to get this painted, or I'm not actually wanting to get this painted until I've done the Nürburgring. I just don't think it's worth doing it, to be honest with you. So the next step is to fit the new tips on the exhaust itself. Now, you are meant to do these, realistically, with a rubber mallet, because it's the safest way of getting them off. However, I seem to have mislaid both my rubber mallets, and I really can't figure out where they've gone. However, these are the new tips, and as you can see, they look way better. Now, they're obviously a lot bigger. They're a bit thinner on this side, but they've got like an outer shell to make them look bigger. And they just look completely different to what's on the car. Now, what I'll do initially is I'll just do 2. So we'll just do one side, and then we'll get a quick video, and you can actually see how much of a difference these make. So any of you guys who've not done this is old school. Like, obviously I had, well, not obviously, you might not follow us, but I've had a couple of F80s, and I've had the G80, and this is the things I did on all of them. So to be fair, over 10 years ago is when I originally kind of did this. But all we're going to do now is literally knock them off and put the new tips on. You just put them on with the new Jubilee clamp. It's actually a Michelin clip, is this one. I think it's called Michelin. But these are a lot stronger, but that's how you basically fit them on. But it's a massive improvement over what's currently on there. Right, so the next thing we're going to be doing is fitting the strut brace, because for some reason this has only got one on one side, and I honestly don't know why, but the bonnet just falls down and hits you on the head every single time. So these from BMW are thinking about £80 each, and they're really no different. This is a universal one off eBay. I think it was like 15 quid for the kit. But it should do exactly the same thing, and I am actually going to change both sides just to make sure that the pressure's right on both sides. It won't really make any difference. It's just me being a little bit picky, but I just think it's the best solution. And really, that should just click on and click on there, and we should have the bonnet that stays open on its own now. Wow. All right, actually they're a hell of a lot stronger than the original one. So I think I am definitely going to be changing both sides just to make sure when I do pull the bonnet down it works properly, because this is a carbon fibre bonnet from China. They're not as strong as they could be, and that could be a weak point. So I think changing that other end is probably the best thing we can actually do right now. So like everything on cars, that side went on straight away. I decided I was going to change the other side because I wanted it to just basically have the same pressure both ways, and this side doesn't fit. And then you try and remove the O-clip, I don't know what you technically call it, but basically they have a metal clip around them, which is what literally holds it in. And it's bent, and I can't get it out, and I can't do anything with it at all. So like everything in life, what starts off being easy ends up being a nightmare, and this is a 2-minute job that's probably going to turn, I can't even get it out, into half an hour, which is just fantastic and exactly what we didn't need. Okay, there's clearly a reason this side didn't have one on, and it's to do with this hinge. So I'm going to have to take this one off all over again. What I've just realised is when I actually come to shut the bonnet, this flips up massively and does not sit like it should at all. And I've got a feeling that's why it felt like it was very springy. Now, the only thing I can presume is that this hinge is knackered. So we could do with a new hinge. Now, that is much better, but see, that now doesn't fit, which is worrying. I think it's bent the hinge. That's better. So we've clearly got a problem where this doesn't fit. It's definitely pulled it out of shape. That's 100% pulled it out of shape. So there's clearly an issue with the hinge on that side, because the gap I have here now is totally different to the gap I have on that side. And it weren't like that before. Now, like I said, this is a Chinese bonnet. They're never great. The GT Move 4 has a Chinese bonnet and it isn't great. And that hinge, right, so that hinge on that side, this side here, that hinge moves quite a bit, and it shouldn't. That is quite a bit, and that really shouldn't happen. So that's the issue. So that's why they haven't put a bonnet latch on that side. See, now that fitment is better and it does fit nicer. That's a lot better. But that's the reason they haven't put a hinge on that side. That's the only reason. So what we're going to have to do is keep this as a spare. Luckily, these are stronger than what we've took off, which means it will hold itself up. But we're going to have to bear in mind it's never going to be perfect. And that's just the reality of it. Is Chinese bonnet and possibly a damaged hinge that's not been replaced when it really should have been. So the solution we found, the original strut is weaker than the new ones, therefore that can go on this side. However, it does still pull the bonnet over that way. So the only option I can see at the minute is to realign this bonnet. So what I'm going to do is gradually unloosen this and then try and pull the bonnet more towards me, and that may be the easy fix. Now, this is a lot harder when you're on your own, just being honest. It's a lot easier if there's two of you, because you can unloosen the other side as well and you can just get a better fitment, or you can get someone to hold it basically. So we're going to see how well I can adjust this frame. Which I think I'm going to struggle. Now, looking at that, it only adjusts a tiny bit, and it doesn't adjust at the bottom, which is a bit of a weird one, but it could be an issue. So that no, that needs to go over there quite a bit more. Shit, quite a lot more. Don't know how we're going to do this. This could be that the bonnet isn't ever going to fit absolutely perfect, but I would rather have two struts on it if I can, just because it's safer, that's all. You never know the day you need to be underneath that car to do any work on it. So what I'm going to have to do is adjust all these again and then try and push the bonnet over this way. I'm actually surprised, generally shocked, honestly. Didn't expect that to happen. That's actually about even. It's not a perfect fit. It's really not a perfect fit. I've got to feel I need to adjust something on the front as well to lower this down. But that's about even on both sides. Possibly put a washer under there actually, just to raise it because it's not as high as this side. So I do think it could do with a washer sticking under there. But otherwise, I actually think we might be there with that.